I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work and are backed by science. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body, and that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. We use only top-of-the-line formulations dosed for maximum results and the best flavoring systems available. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
You're funny.
Like I said, do you like my tail?
Welcome back to Iron Rage. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm here as always with Lee Priest. And Lee, we are days away from the Tampa Pro happening, which would bring back open men's bodybuilding after this huge hiatus we had from the Arnold Classic till now with the whole COVID thing going on. I have to take my hat. I've said it a couple times already this week. I have to take my hat off to Tim Gardner for making this happen, because I have to believe it's a logistical nightmare holding this show in Tampa, Florida, which is the new hotbed of COVID. And we're dealing with all the regulations from the governor and the local, law enforcement and the health department and all the other craziness that's going on. I can't imagine what he's got to go through. He's got every division in the show, pro and amateur.
Yeah, it's crazy because I know October here I'm putting on the Lee Priest Classic, and Victoria, where Tony is down there's gone back into lockdown, and now they're talking about the state I'm in could go back into lockdown. Wow. So it does make it hard when you want to put something on and you're planning stuff, but then you don't know which way COVID's going to go with gyms shutting down and stuff, and then you just have people's mindset. It's like, do they get ready for a show that might or might not happen? If you're not 100% sure on a show, it's hard to prepare for, putting all that time and effort into it. So yeah, it should be a good show. When you say you take your hat off, Dave, I don't think I've ever seen you wear a hat.
You're right, I don't wear a hat, but I take my hair off too. Lee Labrada was one of the, back in the 80s and 90s, was probably one of the premier bodybuilders. He was one of the first, short guys who weighed under probably 190 pounds, probably maybe under 185 pounds.
I think when I used to see his weight, it used to be generally, if you go by the weight they put up, I think it was always around 186 pounds was his weight a lot. So
here's a guy who was winning pro shows and almost won the Olympia against Lee Haney, one year. So he was a guy that we all respected in the sense that he was a consummate professional. He brought conditioning, he brought class, he brought presentation, he brought muscle. He went down obviously as a Hall of Fame bodybuilder. Now his son, Hunter Labrada, who somehow is way taller than Lee and is like a legitimate super heavyweight, weight bodybuilder, is poised to make his pro debut in Tampa here. And if you've seen his Instagram, and I'm sure Tyler could probably pull it up, the guy is looking unbelievable. I mean, he is.
I remember seeing him. Maybe even just a year or 2 years ago when he first sort of come out of it, or 3 years ago. I remember seeing him at Expo, and then I think when he first competed, he looked good, but he looked more like a classic physique type guy. But now he looks like a legitimate fucking freak, the way he's still got the tiny waist. I guess Lee's helping him. So the pictures I saw even like a week or so ago, his conditioning was pretty on point 2 weeks out like we used to be. And I'm sure if Lee is helping him, which I couldn't imagine he wouldn't be, I'm sure his posing's going to be on point. So going from what I've seen in the list of names, who's that other guy in there? Is it Ian or Valant, whatever his name is?
I don't know if Ian Valliere is doing it. I didn't see him on the list, but he was.
I thought it was. I thought his name was on the list.
They added him? I haven't seen it recently. Yeah, I didn't look lately.
Yeah, but apart from them, I couldn't recognize anybody else on the list. But I think going by that and what I've seen, I think Hunter would be the sure footing for the win for this show, that's for sure.
Doesn't that make you feel old? Because I remember reading the magazines when I was in college and seeing Lee carrying around Hunter in the stroller And at all the shows that he was doing, all the Grand Prix, and his wife Robin was. I kind of feel like I knew the family just because I read it in the magazine, almost like a little kid, getting excited about seeing that.
But
Now the guy's competing on a pro stage.
On stage.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost the same too. I remember when I was young and I used to watch the VHS tapes of the Olympia and stuff, and what was I, probably 13-ish? I was in the bodybuilding, or maybe 14. I still remember when Sergio Oliva brought his son up onto the stage and said, "I'll always be the myth," and showed his son to the world. And now it's like we know his son, and his son's competing and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. Speaking, I was going to ask you for that comparison. Sergio Oliva Jr., Hunter Labrada, sons of, excellent, not just good, but superb pro bodybuilders. Mr. Olympia, one of them, and Lee Labrada, who could have been Mr. Olympia and, won a lot of crazy shows. Who's better? Who do you think? Who do you think is going to prove to be better maybe, at the end of their careers, like when it's all said and done?
That'd be hard to say because all said and done, how long's their career going to go for and stuff like that. But
I mean, Sergio's been surging. He's been. He looked amazing at the Arnold. I mean, he won the New York Pro that year. I mean, a lot of people never said he would never do that, and he seems to just be getting better and better. Obviously, Hunter coming onto the scene now, and really, at least on Instagram, he looks great. We'll see what he has to look like on stage, but we know he's got a good look.
I think too, it's like, I know when you have watched some of Sergio Jr.'s interviews where he said his dad had a good relationship, but there's also that sort of, it seemed like there was a bit of turmoil there in the bodybuilding between him and his dad, and whether he said he didn't get the support type thing or something like that. I remember hearing one of the interviews, or it's almost as if like his dad didn't want him to be a bodybuilder.
No, his dad told the promoters, "Don't let my son compete." He didn't want him to compete.
Yeah. So I think on that aspect, it'd be like because it seems like from what you see, Hunter's got his father right behind him, pushing him, giving him direction, telling him what he's learned. I'm sure Lee's given him all the advice that he's learned over the years. Right. So maybe, Sergio, I'm sure, has had friends tell him and, people show him, and he's had people help him. But it wouldn't be the same as if you had your father there who's been through it all, and he was coaching you and pushing you and was 100% behind you.
Yeah, but
that could make a big difference.
Would you listen to your family when they give you advice?
I would if they had been in that sport, and that's something I was going to do. Yes, I would.
Your mother was in the sport. Did you take advice from her?
No, you have to remember she started. I'd already been competing for 5 years before she started. So she took advice. She took advice from me, Dave.
When you were 13, you were giving your mother advice?
No, 17. I was Mr. Australia already when she started competing. So that's why when we did the couples for the first time, Mum goes, Lee come across the stage to me. We're waiting backstage, and I thought that he was coming to give me words of advice. And because I was already Mr. Australia, I just looked at her. I took her hand and said, "Mum, now don't fuck this up on me." Mum just stood there like this. Huh? she said in one of her interviews, I thought my son was coming to give me advice. So I was pretty much saying, don't make me look bad and fuck this up.
That's funny.
And then I walked back off the other side of the stage.
Right.
Mum said she was more nervous than ever before after I told her that. But no, but it's hard to. I think it would be great though. I think just because of who they are, I wouldn't say one's better than the other. Only time can tell that. But I think it'd be just great seeing them both on stage competing together, having the two sons of two great bodybuilders on stage competing side by side would be good.
Phenomenal. I mean, that's like a.
What about, I know Dorian's son was into training for a while and stuff like that. Would have been good if Dorian's son had gone pro and
his son looked great. Well. Yeah, he looks like a clone of Dorian actually. Just not as big, obviously, but
would
same
have been
genetics.
Good if we had Labrada's son, Sergio's son, Yates's son. We could have had the next sort of Chris Cormier's son. We could have had.
Well, what I'm discovering, Lee, is that genetics play a huge part in bodybuilding, obviously, and structurally, those guys, which just goes to show you that, if you don't have good genetics, you should. I'm telling my kid, go someplace else, go play football, make a lot of money.
The thing is, though, you can still be an okay bodybuilder without the best genetics. But it's like I tell people when they always say, "I want to be a pro bodybuilder." Look, I said, if your training's on point, if you got the genetics and you're eating well and you're sleeping and you get your rest in and you do a little bit of gear, you will become a great bodybuilder.
Right.
But I've told people, if you've been busting your ass, training hard for fucking 10, 15 years. You've been eating right, sleeping right, you're using gear, and you're still not a good bodybuilder. Guess what? It's not going to happen. So like that doesn't mean give up. You can still go to the gym for fitness. You can go for strength. You can go for. You might get a okay physique, but if we're talking about, because you just look at any other sport, how many people play football, during the year, but how many become pro footballers? How many go and play tennis and golf for fun, or do it like maybe at an amateur level, but never go on the PGA? Or how many people in the world do boxing but never become a pro boxer? It's like, you just got to, a lot of it's just, people are born for certain things. And if you have all the right makeup and everything's perfect, you're going to excel. That's why I tell people, and I say, I'm going to be Mr. Olympia. I'm like, well, what have you done so far? Nothing. I said, well, maybe you should start a little local show first and then work your way up, because I've always said, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. It'll just happen. If you go to the gym, and how many guys do you see who some of them don't even eat correctly, but yet they lift weights, and you're like, oh my God, look at his physique, and he's not even doing it properly. Imagine if he did it properly. And then you get these other guys who are 24/7. I got to eat now. I got to take my drugs now. I got to do this now. 10 years later, I got to take my drugs now. I got to eat now. And it's like, what have you done? Nothing.
look at Arnold's son, the one he had with the maid. That kid has got good. He looks like an Arnold clone. Romano and I were just talking about him the other day.
I was going to say, he's not going to be a good bodybuilder, but fucking he clean a room. That's what I know.
No, that's not nice. The guy's got great genetics. He's got the same Arnold genetics, which I don't know if he wants to be a pro bodybuilder or not, but
he can do the vacuum. That's for sure.
Imagine him going against Sergio Oliva, right? Sergio Oliva Jr. versus Arnold, Arnold's son. That would be great.
It'd be the old comeback. We need. Louis had a son, didn't he?
Louis' son is a really good-looking kid. He's an actor, yeah. Just like Louis.
Well, there you go. Get him into training.
Get him into training. Yeah, Arnold's son versus Louis' son, yeah.
Could you imagine if it happened all over again? Arnold's son and Louis' son kept getting second. You'd be like, that's a family curse. That's the family curse. And then Robbie Robinson comes back and beats both of them again.
Yeah, at 90 years old. Yeah, exactly. Not Robbie's son. Robbie himself comes back and beats him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Robbie himself comes back. It's like, no, but it should be. I saw I think you put up the list for the 212 too for the Tampa show. So
yeah, George Peterson obviously entering that.
Yeah. He's like the front runner, isn't he? Like the main.
I would have to think that he's going to be the guy to beat. I mean, the guy's a freak. I mean, I thought he should have done the Open too, but they only let you do one class, evidently.
Yeah, I saw Derek on the list. He hasn't competed for a while, has he? Derek Farnsworth, he hasn't.
Yeah, no, Derek hasn't. I think Derek's like my age, right? He's got to be close.
He was competing when I was competing back in the
Derek's
States,
unbelievable.
So he's been around a while.
Yeah, the guy is. He's ageless. I tell him, I said, you never age. I said, you look the same as you did when you were 25. I said, you got the same head of hair. You look the same.
Is he still going? I remember he used to always like doing powerlifting and going heavy. Is he still training heavy?
He still lifts like a maniac. Yeah, he's a crazy lunatic. He knows he is. I don't know how he does it.
That's because he's short. He doesn't have far to squat.
No, that's not true. You know what it is? It's because he doesn't have kids. That's what it is. He can sleep at night. I found that funny. No, I walk around. I got pain in like my ankles and stuff like that. And I'm like walking around. I'm like sore. You know what? I get one good night's sleep like by accident, and I wake up. I'm like, holy shit, nothing hurts me anymore. And then I realize that I'm not recovering, from anything, just from life, because 4 hours is just not enough sleep every night.
I always figure if you wake up like that, Dave, you really got to lay there. So if you wake up and you go, wait a minute, nothing's sore, nothing's aching. Am I dead?
Yeah. Exactly.
I was saying that the other day. Remember when you're young, you go to the gym, just say, okay, today's chest day. You go do chest and you're pumping away on dumbbells and your chest gets sore and massive. And that's all you feel is your chest. Now you go do chest, you're like, oh, fuck, my elbow, my shoulder, my back and this. Yeah. It's like everything. I feel everything else apart from the thing. And I said the good way to know when you're getting old is every time you get up out of bed, out of a chair, you make sound effects. When you're young, you just go, now you go,
Billy Crystal did a whole routine on that. He said that as you get older, the sounds get louder too.
But it's true though, when you watch people, it might just be like come naturally. Just go, but sometimes you even make the sound because I think if you're used to having a pain, you're just used to making it. Yeah. But sometimes I get up and I go, and I'm like, Why did I make that? Nothing's hurting.
I hear my
now.
dad. I make that sound. I hear my dad in my head. I'm like, I sound like my father now.
Well, you start that off when you get to about 40, mid-40s, and you start doing the back in my day.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Like I said.
Hey, Dave, like I said, I must say that I was reading some of the comments, and because we had to record this show differently because Tyler wasn't there last week, that many of the comments were upset that the intro was not on the show. My God, were they fucking... They were going ballistic, Dave. It's like, I don't know what's up with them. And the funny thing is, too, I must say, for someone that's non-irrelevant, I was watching some of the shows like the Rat Pack one, not the Rat Pack, but After Hours or whatever it is you do with everyone.
Yeah.
I must say that Lee certainly pulls the views still, Dave, you know.
I think cumulatively you might have the most, your shows get the most views than anything we do on RxMuscle, pretty much.
So what's that tell you? People are fucking idiots like
me. They love you.
They're just like, let's tune in. He's a loose cannon. What's he going to say?
Yeah, what's he going to say next? Well, when Howard Stern was starting out and he was on WNBC radio, the people who were running the show wanted to get rid of him. They couldn't. He was locked into a contract. And they said, if you ever watch the Howard Stern movie, you can see it. They were saying, the crazy statistic about the Howard Stern show was that people who hated him tuned in more so than the people who liked him. And they said when they asked these people in survey, why did you listen? They said, we want to see what he says next. So I think your haters...
That happens all the time. It's funny like that, isn't it? Because some of the comments, even when we do this show now, it'll be from the same people. Oh, I can't stand Dave and Lee. But every week you're commenting, so every week you're watching. Why do you keep watching? It's like those ones that watch these shows and go, I can't stand this show. It's like, well, you live in America. When I lived in America, I probably had over 400 stations. All you got to do is pick up the remote and go, change the station. Right. It's like, they must just like you said, they just like to torture themselves listening. But I used to love Howard Stern, especially when he was on TV as well. And you could actually watch him in the studio and the guests he would bring in and the questions he would ask and get the girls on the Sibian. Get on that vibrating Sibian over there. And the thing was, too, when you saw Howard, I watched like one of those documentaries on him too, and it's like, people see me like this being silly, which comes natural. But then I could do another podcast and I'm just totally normal. And you watch Howard Stern on his radio show, you think this guy's a player, he's this, he's that. But then in real life, he's a family man. He's very straight. He's not like he comes across.
He doesn't do anything. He's boring. He doesn't go out. He does nothing.
He just stays home. Yeah. Is he still married to the same girl? Was it Allison or?
Beth Ostrowski is the new one.
That's right. Allison was his first wife, wasn't it?
I'll tell you a good story about Beth Ostrowski. Remember when satellite radio first came out? They used to have two companies. It was XM Satellite Radio and it was Sirius. They're one and the same, but. I did a commercial. I went for a commercial audition for this for XM Satellite Radio. They just had come out. I didn't even know what they were, and I got the commercial. And in part of the commercial was me in the middle of a street training some girl, and screaming, "Come on, one more rep, one more rep!" And when we filmed it, it was filmed in Jersey somewhere. And when we filmed it, we were in the trailer, and this girl is getting. These actresses, they don't care. They just take their clothes off. She's completely naked in the trailer, and I'm like, "Oh, she's in pretty good shape." And I go out, and all the people who were in the commercial with me, I said to them, "These girls, they just take their clothes off." He goes, "Beth took her clothes off." I'm like, "What do you? That's her name?" They're like, "That's Howard Stern's girlfriend." It was her girlfriend. His girlfriend at the time. They weren't married. What did she look like? What did she look like? If I would have taken a picture, if they had cell phones back then, I'd probably be, wealthy, So,
well, even now, you could sell it for millions of dollars.
That's right. So I got to see Howard Stern's wife naked when she was...
You've seen where Howard's been or gone more than anybody else. But
she was, you know what, though? She's the nicest person, like, so down to earth. And she was she was dating Howard at the time, and I think Howard was only 50. This had to be 20 years ago. And she was as sweet as I can't say anything bad about her. She was awesome. Yeah,
it's funny too. Like remember when you watch Howard Stern, or even me on here. I'm a bit of an idiot. We're doing sign language.
No, I'm giving him the signal that the camera's going to die because it's blinking. Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
He never gets
the
my
funny thing
hand
was-
signal. I always give him the same hand signal. He never catches
it.
it.
Signal.
I'm plugging in. You don't think I'm talking about Blackman giving head to Lee?
It's like in the movies. Stop. Enemy.
That's right. That's right.
But it's like when you see Howard too, like, you know, I can come across as an idiot because I am, and I admit to being an idiot. But it's funny when you watch him on his when he does these shows and actually talks, he's quite a very intelligent man, Howard Stern.
Yeah.
But
I think he's the best interviewer of all time. I don't think there's a guy who does a better interview than Howard Stern.
Well, the good thing is, too, he can go from serious. He could be interviewing someone about something so serious and then go, hey, what sex positions does your wife like?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know why he does that, though? I've seen interviews. You know why he does that? And I've studied his interviews.
I think it breaks the ice a lot.
Exactly. It breaks them. It takes away their barriers. It catches them by surprise. They don't know what's going on. And before he knows it, they're telling him their whole life story, you know.
I know.
So
people are like, oh, right. All right, tell me some more. Oh, I'm getting hard right now thinking about her ride. They're just thinking about her riding you, man. Oh, Jesus, I'm getting hard. And it's like these people, like I said, these people just start laughing. Then, like I said, it just relaxes them and stuff. So.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? I think it's important when you do an interview that you have to, at least this is my strategy, is you have to find something that a person likes to talk about. In other words, something about them that makes them unique. And once you find that, you won't be able to shut them up because that's a comfortable area for them to talk about. And once you break that ice with them, then you can ask them anything because now they're at ease. Because when people first start interviewing with you, they're very tense and they're protecting. You know,
well, I think too when some interviewers come out, they come right out at the box like with, so why'd you have that affair? Do you think that was correct? And it's like the people go, shit, you're asking me those questions straight off the bat and their mind's going all complicated.
Sure.
But, you know, if you just talk to them like you're a friend and you're on their level type thing and stuff like that, it's like, you know, I know for you to be on my level, Dave, you got to come down a few pegs, but, you know.
I don't know. I'm pretty low to begin with. Let me ask you this question. Let's go back to Hunter Labrada for a second. If you were, if you were Nostradamus and you're looking, from your experience in bodybuilding and seeing structures and frames and what you see of Hunter, how far can he go? Can this be a future Mr. Olympia?
Actually, it's funny you say that. When I saw that picture of him, I think there was 3 of them. One he was doing a front lat spread. One he was doing this shot.
Yeah.
And one he was doing a side chest shot with his hamstring and everything else. Actually, just looking at him, I thought to myself, in a couple of years, I could actually see him winning the Olympia. Because it reminded me of when you see a young Jay Cutler that just sort of had all the body parts there, but just wasn't polished yet. When I looked at Hunter, I went, I could easily, in a few more years, a little bit more size, if he keeps that shape and gets that muscle maturity, I could see him as a Mr. Olympia easy.
Well, that's a bold statement coming in. A very good compliment coming from Lee Priest for sure.
Means nothing coming from me, but hey,
no, it means a lot coming from you because you know what? You don't give compliments to anyone. Very.
That's the funny thing. As soon as I saw him, that's what popped into my head when I saw him doing the lat spread and that most muscle. I thought, shit, in a couple of years, I could actually see him winning the Olympia because it almost looked like a cross between, like I said, a bit of Jay, a bit of Dallas McCarver because he's still young and stuff, but he's got everything where it needs to be.
Fresh muscle too. Fresh muscle.
And if he can just sort of, like I said, he doesn't look worn out. You see some young guys who look tapped out already.
Yeah.
But he looks still young, healthy, and fresh. And I'm sure, like I said, his dad's got him on the right path and that sort of thing, keeping him sensible. So I said, I reckon probably within 5 years, I could see him easy as a top contender, if not winning the Olympia in 5 years' time.
Nostradamus Priest. Just latest prediction.
I just read here online though. Here's a bit breaking story. It's going to be a good story. It's a picture of Kanye. Bipolar and other chronic illnesses these celebrities deal with every day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. In other words, what they're trying to say is these celebrities are just fucking mentally fucked up, but they want to blame it on bipolar and, I got a mental disorder. Yeah, your mental disorder is you're a fucking selfish cunt. It's like, what more do you want?
You know what though? I believe, Lee, that people that are super talented, a lot of times are mentally unbalanced, and you've seen it through the history of literature, movies.
Look at me.
Philosophy, doctors. The most brilliant minds are also the most fucked up minds. You know that.
Bodybuilding.
Yeah. Like he said.
Well, even look at some of the artists back in the day. You had crazy fucking Van Gogh and all these people.
You got to be a little nuts to be that talented. I believe it. I'm telling you, you have to be a little cuckoo because your brain doesn't work like everyone else's. It enables you to tap into another level of creativity that other people can't. The problem is it makes you fucking lose your mind and go crazy too. So,
well, you look at what's his name? They reckon Howard Hughes, the Spruce Goose. They reckon he was
crazy too.
Really nutty. Well, look at it. You know, even how many people haven't settled about Elon Musk? They reckon he's a bit fucking
he's
nutty
a cuckoo bird. He's got to be a cuckoo bird. The guy works 24 hours a day. You know what the funny thing is? I always ask people, would you rather be normal, in other words, mentally balanced, or not have any injuries, live a long, normal life, or would you rather be a fucking crazy person that accomplishes incredible things in the world? That's a very difficult question to answer, you know?
No, it's not. I'm crazy, and I'm quite happy to be crazy.
Yeah, but you're not. You know what? You're purposely crazy. In other words, you know you're crazy. You know you act crazy. You don't just do it because you have a disorder.
Yeah, I do. It's called being.
You want to be a rebel.
mental.
That's why, and that's why you've
No, I've always been this way. From even at school, I was always this way. But the thing is, it's like alcoholism. You just got to accept that you're a fucking nut, and don't blame it.
No, but you know what though? That's your shtick.
Don't blame it on. Don't blame it on a mental disorder. Don't blame it on Mama smacked me when I was little. Don't blame it on Uncle Jack put his dick in your bum when you were young. It's just that you're just a mental fuck up, and just accept that. Embrace it. Embrace it like alcoholism or you're addicted to drugs. Just embrace. Look, I'm a fucking lunatic and be happy with it. I'm not going to be like.
Look at Picasso. Picasso at the end of his life was such an alcoholic. Just to pay for his alcohol, he would draw on napkins. He would make his things and he would just give them away to people. Can I get a bottle of booze?
Well,
meanwhile, that napkin was in the Museum of Modern Art. It was sold for $10 million or something like that.
Or Van Gogh cut his ear off. It's like.
Well, yeah, he was a cuckoo bird, but I'm just saying that. Just because you're super talented doesn't mean you're a great person. I mean, what's his name? Who was that great baseball player? Ty Cobb was one of the greatest baseball players of all time, but he was the biggest asshole of all time. But he was a great baseball player.
Dave.
You know?
You're giving me some ideas, Dave. Hold on. Look, hold on. Give me a second.
All right.
Okay, take your time.
All right.
Hold on. Look at this. Look at this. Oh, my God. Look at that. Oh, look at that. This is, I'm going to sign it. I'm going to sign it. There we go. I'll put a bird in the sky over there and one over there. Look at that. That's the sun setting over the ocean by Lee Priest.
Ooh. I bid $100,000.
There it is.
Anyone else want to bid against that?
Look at that. See, it just shows you I'm artistic because I'm crazy.
There you go. Here's my picture. Look at my little picture I have here on my doodle.
Oh, you got colored crayons. You are a retard.
Yeah. All right, Lee. I got to record more. Even though you're the highest rated show on RxMuscle, I got to cut you off. Thank you. Let's see if you're right. I think that Hunter Labrada is going to be definitely the favorite going into Tampa. Will he be a future Mr. Olympia? We'll have to wait and find out. For now, I'm Dave Palumbo with Lee Priest for another installment of Iron Rage.
Don't forget, you want to buy this one-off painting, drawing, sketch.